Well, on behalf of Dr. Andre and Pastor Jenny Raybert, welcome to Behind the Faith. Exciting times, exciting episode. We have a lot to cover today.
We sure do. It is so good to be with everybody. I want to encourage every single person who's connecting with us right now. Make sure you keep the conversation going on our social media platforms. So whether you're on Facebook, on Twitter, or on Instagram, the handle's very simple, at MyFaithTV. And if you want to get some daily encouragement straight into your mailbox, you can simply email partner@myfaithtv.com with the subject line, Daily Devotions, please. And we'll include your email address to receive our faith dailies.
Right, and of course, as Christians and for us as believers, of course, freedom is a big thing. So don't forget to join us for free speech conversation on social media, especially like on Twitter. But hey, talking about conversations, we were going straight through and had a conversation with Langa and Torch all the way from We Will Worship about their 10-year tour. Take a look. Well, today I have the honor and the privilege to talking to two incredible gentlemen from We Will Worship. I'm joined by Ulanga, the leader actually of and songwriter of We Will Worship, as well as Torch, who is a rapper and poet. Welcome, gentlemen, to Behind the Faith.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Now, that's awesome, man. So let me actually start with you, Langa, as the guy who was there at the inception of the whole thing. Tell me a bit more about We Will Worship. How did this journey all begin? How did it get birthed? Share your story.
So it goes a lot further back than what people often believe. So We Will Worship was actually started back in 2006.
Wow.
And so it came about after we had been worshiping in our churches. I was on a church at a university campus, at the UJ campus, and we used to worship. It was quite a multicultural church made up of a whole bunch of students. And I remember we were sitting there, a lot of like Hillsong United had just released, I think, their first record. If you've been in like multicultural churches long enough, you would have heard songs like "One Way, Jesus, you're the," and so I think that had just come out, and then that kind of took off on a university campus because it was a very young sound. However, we just felt like it didn't, as much as it was youthful and it was young, it didn't reflect who we were as South Africans from all over. All over South Africa, Limpopo, KZN, meeting, at a university campus. And we're like, man, this is great, it's vibey, but it's not our vibe. It doesn't completely capture what God is doing. So I was just led to gather some of the worship leaders at our campus churches at that time and said, guys, let's write our own songs. Hillsong and them wrote their own songs. So let's also write songs about what God is doing within our context, in our languages, in our flavors and styles, and let's put it together and let's see what God does with that. So that was back in 2006. And so the event itself was called We Will Worship. And then we had that for another 2 years. And then felt like, man, these are amazing, but we need for people to walk away with the experience. And so we need to record the music. And then went a long journey of trying to raise money, people not giving us money, people not believing in what we're doing, to eventually a few friends gave their pocket monies, gave their lunch monies, gave their towards the movement. And then we actually recorded our first album in 2011. And so it was actually an event where we were just showcasing homegrown songs so that we could worship with homegrown songs in our churches. And so that's where it really started.
Wow, man, that's powerful, man. Quite an origin story. I just realized you and I, our timelines actually cross paths somewhere, but we'll discuss that later. Let me quickly jump over to Torch. Torch, as a rapper and a poet, hip-hop is quite an interesting thing when it comes to church culture, especially in South Africa. But, You know, as part of We Will Worship, what is it that for you is a heart for We Will Worship, and what is it at the core, in the heart of this tour that you guys are embarking on?
So, I mean, for me, well, not just for me, but I think as a movement, the most important thing, I remember when joining, the thing that was always emphasized was just that, one, it's a movement. So trying to remove a face and trying to remove, you know, it being sort of like linked to certain people and stuff, just trying to create a movement that can function in and within itself. And I guess the heart of it was to worship, you know, in everything, with everything, you know, and I think that's what we've been trying to do from the very beginning, you know, just creating a culture of worship and just trying to just make people realize that worship is in how you do your life, you know, so how you live, how you interact with people, and not just the songs, you know, and that's why a lot of our songs are just very, very raw and very authentic, because those songs are birthed from people, and when they're living, the songs are a product of their lives, so their struggles, what they go through, you know, and we've noticed that people usually respond to that. People respond to authenticity and genuineness, you know. So I think from the get-go, that has always been the heart of the movement, just to have a frank, honest display of our journey, you know, and hopefully reach people who are journeying as well, just like we are.
Oh, that's powerful, man. Just coming back to you, Langa, you know, also just to talk about this heart of the tour, you know, can you just add from your side? Because obviously your experience, I think, when it comes to this will be very unique and different, considering, you know, this is like your baby, man. Like, I know you're like, yeah, but I wasn't the only guy. It was a team and a group of us. But, you know, but like, dude, this is like your baby, man. So what's at the heart for you? Like, even personally, if you can share, and I understand it's not about one person, it's about the whole team. But like, what is at the heart of this tour from your perspective?
At the heart of it is celebrating 10 years. You know, We Worship has been around, I guess, officially around for it's over 10 years now. 10 years was last year, but we're obviously celebrating this year. But I think you put it well. You know, this has been, I guess, in a very Christian way, my baby. You know? And it's huge for me because with it having been my baby, I've had to actually let it go. It's kind of like what I can imagine when parents have to release their kids out the house. You know, there was a point where I obsessed over this thing. You know, where every thought was about We Will Worship, what we're doing, you know, to the point where I actually had to let it go, get to a point to say, actually, God, I realize as Christians, whenever we do a God thing, we think it needs to last forever. But that even God can put endings to things that have his name on them. And so I personally had to, I think probably 5 years into the journey, had to say, do you know what, God, I'm letting this go. You know, this thing might not last 10 years, it might not last 20 years, but, you know, I'm letting it go. And so I'm just, so for me, this is just to be around for 10 years, a group of people, a collective of people being around in 10 years, you don't get a lot of that. Usually someone becomes a Beyonce and then, you know, it kind of go, and we got no issues with Beyonce and the people in our squad. We love it when they do their own things. But I think we build around community and family. Yeah. And so that for me is just humbling that, you know, 10 years later, we're still here, we're still ministering, we're still making music, we're still fired up for Jesus.
Come on.
and still wanting to see more and more of his kingdom come here on earth as it is in heaven.
Sure, come on. Now that's powerful, man. Listen, I just want to go back to Torch for a second. This is the question I wanted to ask him actually, and it's quite interesting, because I'm going to put you on the spot here, Torch, and I'm going to ask you this question. Why should I come? Like, why should I come to your event? Like, why? What is it about your event, this tour, these dates, these places? Why should I make a decision to come to an event when you guys are coming into my town?
Jeepers. I think, bro, for me, it's I've been with the band for about maybe like 7 years now, 6-7 years, like officially, and We Will Worship is still my favorite band, and it sounds weird, bro, but like We Will Worship is my favorite band, like my favorite gospel band, like not in the country, but it's my favorite gospel band. And I think maybe obviously there's a little bias because I know the intricacies of the lives that birth the songs, but everything is so real, man. Like the encounter is so real. It's tangible, So for me, I'd say if you want to come and experience like just the tangible presence of God, just real, unrehearsed. We rehearse, but just like just real and authentic, and just a genuine, interaction with God and the Holy Spirit and each other, and just experiencing what community means, and why God would say, do not forsake the gathering of the brethren. Like that is, you feel it. You can't leave the same, to be honest. I think for me that, like, whether you're running away from God or running to God, that is the place. That's the place you want to be.
Sure. Yeah, man, that presence. Langa, bringing it towards the end of this conversation, I just have a few questions. And the question I have, which we just wrap this up, is, okay, so what are the first 5 cities you guys are going to, and how do I get a ticket? And where are you guys going to be?
You can get tickets at wewillworship.co.za or directly to web tickets. Otherwise, the first 5 cities, we're doing Johannesburg, and then we're doing Harare, we're doing Bulawayo, and then we are doing Cape Town and Nelspruit. So that's the first 5 destinations that we're going to.
Okay, wow.
We're gonna. Yes, we've been wanting to go there for years, and so the doors opened up for us to do something there. So we are there.
Okay, no, that's awesome, man. Actually, I have a bonus question for you. I'm getting excited by this conversation. One of your most well-known songs, Malibongwe.
Yes.
Take me through that process, man, because that song's got over 1 million views on YouTube. It's proper famous, it's proper well-known. Like, what was it like putting together a song like that, and what's it like hearing the response to that song?
Personally, that song is probably both a gift and a curse. A blessing.
I understand what you mean.
So it's probably the song that we have sung the most times ever, and wherever we go, I guess that's the song that people request, and we're grateful for that song. We enjoyed putting that song together, and I think that song, it encapsulates kind of what we brought to the table, or what we bring to the table, in that it was just a mix of genres, a mix of sounds, and it spoke to a gap of people within our context that were maybe feeling a bit dislocated. Like me, where I am Zulu, I am hardcore Zulu, both parents Zulu, identify as Zulu. But when I go to the ATM and they ask me, do you want Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, English? I'll press English. It's just, it just happens that way.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of people, I guess, that identify with different sounds, but still, feel like, hey, we're South African or we're African, and they want that expression within their worship expression to God, and so hence, for us, we weren't coming up with a formula of adding vernac songs and adding rock or writing bilingual songs. It wasn't a formula. It was just an expression of who we are, and we continue to write from who we are. And it just so happens that there are many people in the same place or category as us at the moment. So they identify with these songs. They're not like fully into maybe like songs that you get from the US or like traditional African songs, but they're somewhere in between. And so that's how kind of Malibongwe came up, wrote the song, added some rock chords to it, and we're like, hey, this sounds weird, but it sounds like us. So
It's a good weird.
Yeah.
Well, but thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Torch, for your time as well. And thank you, Langa, as well, for your time. Thank you guys for spending some time and just updating us as to what's going on. And we wish you all the best for your tour dates. And we hope to chat to you guys during the tour at some point just to get an update.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us. So appreciate it.
No, it's a pleasure. Well, thank you, fam. That was We Will Worship. The details on how you can contact them or get tickets or bookings are all on your screen, and you can catch them as they make their tour. 10-year celebration of We Will Worship. So go onto their website, We Will Worship, and you can find out more about those tour dates. Listen, we're looking forward to spending some more time with them and chatting with them to find out a bit more about the tour.
Listen, I am so excited, and there's a whole lot that's happening here in the network that I'm excited for you to actually be a part of. Next Level with Bolaji has finally hit our network at large, and that's on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central African Time and Sundays at 9 p.m. Central African Time. And of course, look, I didn't realize how long I've been connecting with this one, but Wisdom for Life with Alan Bagg, Mondays to Fridays at 6 a.m. Central African Time. It is always Wisdom for Life.
That's right. And talk about wisdom. We are always given an opportunity as believers to use our wisdom to do great and incredible things. So let's go out right now with Faith Cares as they connect with King's Children's Home, and we can use the empowerment we receive from the Lord as we've generated wealth to be able to assist those in need.
That's good.
I'm greeting you from King's Kids, which is a safe house for children situated in Glen Eden in the Eastern Cape, South Africa. Today, Faith Cares is blessing so many less fortunate children. We are blessing them with various items such as baby products, food parcels, cookies, biscuits, sweets, and so much more. And I'm so sure the kids are just going to love it. And we are also blessing them with custard and jelly. What is a meal without custard and jelly? As we know, these kids comes from abandoned, neglected, and even abused homes. But we know God will never leave us nor forsake us. And even though these precious kids were abandoned by their loved ones, we know that God will not leave them. And we as Faith Cares, we are here today to come and bless them, to come and love them and show them that we care. Come, I'm so excited to go and bless these kids.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello everybody, my name is Tracy King and I'm the director and the founder of the King's Children's Home, which is a home that is based 30 minutes outside of East London in the Eastern Cape. So my story really started in 2008 when a little baby boy was abandoned in the bushes opposite our home. Police were called in, they retrieved the baby and they came and dropped him off at my doorstep. And that was really the start to a ministry that the Lord called us to. So we started to just open our hearts and our home to abandoned and vulnerable children. And over the years, we've looked after over 300 children. And at the moment, we have got 50 children in our children's home. Our vision is really to find families for these children, either to work within their own biological family, to place them with an aunt or a grandmother or someone who can look after them, or to place them in foster care or into adoption if they are an abandoned child. So we obviously have many needs here at the King's Children's Home. We do not receive any assistance or support from government, and we would honestly value any help that could be given to us in any form. Below you will see all our details, and you are welcome to contact us via email or telephonically.
As the River Bible Institute, we have decided to come and spend time with the King's Children's Home. So this is an opportunity for our Bible school students to come and spend time with the kids. But not only that, but to also do any maintenance that needs to be done at the children's home. Our heart has always been, as a school, to not only show people that God loves them by what we do for them, but to also show compassion, just like Jesus has always shown compassion towards us.
My name is Namhle. I'm from River Bible Institute, and my experience here has been amazing. One of the highlights that really stood out to me is when the lady told us about this boy that was a selective mute. And when I was plaiting one of the girls' hair, he started speaking to one of the RBI students, and he had a full-on conversation with him. And the fact that a select mute decided to speak, and he broke that whole stronghold of not going to speak to, and he started speaking while we were here. That really touched my heart, and it really made me realize that us being here is changing these kids' lives.
Hi, my name is Zama and I am from Faith Missions. Listen, what an honor today has been. We are actually here at the King's Children's Home, and it has been such a great experience for us and the team to be here, to love on the children today, to speak life over the children today, to pray over these world changes.
This was not my first visit to King's Kids, and I trust not the last. But every time I walk away from this place, I have various mixed emotions inside of me. Because when you look at the children, you see normal children. You see children running around, playing, laughing. But most of these children come from a very horrific background. Most of these children had experienced more trauma, more pain, more suffering in their short lives than what we would have suffered in our lives. It's really incredible to see what happened in a place like this. To see that children can be brought back to a state where they can love again, where they can care again. And how do they love again? They love because they are showered in love. It has been a blessing to me. It's been a blessing to the crew, and I believe also to the students and everyone from the ministry involved here today. It's been a blessing to experience that God still heals the brokenhearted. And it's more than a blessing for us to be in a position to come out and to make a difference because of you, our faithful partners. We want to thank you for sowing into this ministry, for sowing into Faith Cares, so that we can go out, that we can be the footsteps taking the good word, the gospel of Jesus Christ to all the different areas of society. We want to thank you for sowing and for being a partner with us. And a day like this will not be possible if it were not for you. We thank you and we pray God's richest blessings over each and every one of you.
Now, because of your partnership, so many young people's lives have been impacted. And that's why we encourage you. I want to share something with you quickly, guys. From Deuteronomy Chapter 8 and verse 18, it says, "You shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth, that He may confirm His covenant that He swore to you and your fathers at this very day." And I want to encourage you, when we as believers, when we walk in the fullness of what God has called us to do, we can be effective in supporting and helping so many people out there. Now, Faith Cares has even been out into KwaZulu-Natal here in South Africa to assist and support the people out there. But that's because partners who've understood the mandate of being a believer, stepping out in faith and sowing seed or partnering with Faith Broadcasting Network and Faith Cares have enabled us to be able to do this great and incredible work to help people in their time of need, because the Lord has positioned us and He's empowered us to generate wealth so we can be effective in this time. Remember, it is our job to be the light in this world.
And it is our job to ensure that at every given point in time, multi-generational impact is being created. And with that, Mondays to Thursdays, we have Faith Today that plays live, whether it is from the USA or from right here in Africa. But Mondays to Thursdays, there's Faith Today at 6 p.m. Central African time. It is a time that you can enjoy with your spouse, with your family, and just have a good time, really leaning into the Word of God. And then on Fridays, the next generation is here and now and being empowered to live for Jesus like never before and have a mighty impact. So the NXT on Friday nights at 6 p.m. Central African time. And then on Sundays, there's Faith Worship. We're not neglecting the gathering of the saints. That's Sundays at 9 a.m. Central African time. Always a feast.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. On behalf of Dr. Andre and Pastor Jenny Raybert, we love you. God bless you. See you next time.